All right, man. Let's talk about It's talking about the Lions could trade Jameson Williams. And this is on the heels of the Lions having a pre-draft workout or visit with Matthew Golden, who ran a 4.29. Uh, so a lot of people are making uh, the insinuation that the Lions may be getting ready to move on from Jameson Williams, right? And he had his issues, and they haven't exercised that fifth year option. They dragging their feet on that. But it says don't be shocked if the Lions trade Jameson Williams during the 2025 draft. Here's why and what they can get. It said it's not what I want. It's not what you want. Everyone wants things to work out with Jameson Williams, Detroit Lions, but you cannot ignore Detroit just brought in essentially another version of Williams in a top 30 visit over the weekend. Texas receiver Matthew Golden, who was considered the second best receiver in his draft, who ran a blistering 4.29 40-yard dash at the combine in March. And he brings a lot of what Williamson brought to the Lions, but without the on the field issues like tracking the ball, for example. There's also off the field stuff. For as much as we all like Williams, as much as the Lions have told us they like him too, you can't ignore the suspensions, their turnover fears, case that came after Detroit police stopped him with a concealed weapon in November. Those things might not matter a lot to us, but we weren't the ones to have to pay him when it comes time to do so. At this point, it seems very unlikely that the Lions will sign Williams to an extension. The Lions' Brad Holmes said at the league meeting in Florida 2 weeks ago that the team was leaning towards a fifth year option with him. The deadline to do that will be right after the draft, May 1st. So if the Lions were to do that, they would have to pay him $15.49 million in 2025, and then if he balls out, they'll have to pay him even more after that, and possibly as much as St. Brown is currently making, neighborhood of $30 million. The Lions were to take Golden with the 28th pick, they could trade Williams and save a lot of money, and they can use that to make sure Brian Branch, Jameer Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, Kirby Joseph, and Hudson all get there. That getting rid of that one guy ain't gonna pay them. What people don't understand is that cap gonna go up. All of them is not gonna play good. All of them is not gonna be top paid at their position. Branch and Joseph, you don't worry about safeties really. You don't really worry about playing running backs. Them pitties on the dollar. Tight ends you can interchange. Aiden Hudson is the one you worried about, but cutting JMO ain't going. Whatever. But I get it. Eagles find a way to pay people all the time. So it would suck to move on from Williams. It makes sense financially. Would be a huge down the line. You gonna get an 88th pick. I don't know what that is, a third rounder. So you get a second round pick and a late day 3 pick. I don't know what day 3 is no more. Is that a fifth, sixth? So they could do that. They could say, okay, we about to have to pay him, and let's get something for him if we can pay him. And they dragging the feet on the fifth year option. All that could be the case. A lot of people don't want to hear it. They don't want it to happen, but it could be the case. But just bringing in a guy for a visit, that don't mean anything. They can, exercise the fifth year option and play them together, and then make a decision there. Don't have to trade them right now. You can play them together. Just because you got two of the same receivers don't mean you can't find a way to fit them on the football team together. But eventually, it may mark the sign of this guy come in and produce and be good. We may move on from him. That very well may be true. That very well may be true. So, a lot of people don't like it. Can't pay everybody, but a lot of the guys they got to pay outside of Hutch, they niche positions. You can find safeties, you can find running backs, but you pay them. You pay them because they're not the truly expensive positions. Like the quarterback or the receivers now. Those are the ones that's getting up there. Pass rushers. Those are the ones that's getting up there. You know, but I get it. You know, He's not producing like he should, but that speed is something to lose. But we'll see. It's been talk about them. It's been talks about them drafting a receiver, and I'm just thinking they just need an additional receiver. They need addition. They need an addition. Not swapping them out. They need an additional receiver. But that's what you do. You draft people as the replacement. You can find receivers for cheap all the time. So you really just drafting a replacement. So yeah, you can find receivers for the cheap all the time. For the most part, you're just drafting these guys replacements. So a lot of people are not gonna like it, but if Golden come in and do what he's supposed to do, then it's easy lit. No, but it's a sad way to go out because they traded up to get Jameson Williams, and for the most part, people like him, but he kept getting in trouble. Seemed like he was catching the ball a lot better this time. Seemed like he fit the culture in Detroit, but hey, they basically saying that, hey, if he ball out, we don't want to have two $30 million plus receivers. And that's probably what he's going to command. Let's just pull the Band-Aid off it right now. Trade him, get what we can give him. But who's going to really give up a third-round pick for him? You got to pay him in a couple years. You got to pay him in a couple years. On top of paying him in a couple years, you got to make sure decision on the fifth-year option first, too. So it'd be interesting to see what happened to him. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. So it makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. So, but yeah, but just because they going to look at another receiver, it don't mean they're gonna have to get rid of him right now. That's my thing about it. Just because they're looking at a guy that's similar to him, you can play them together and see what you end up getting at the end of the day. So it don't mean expeditiously you got to move on from them. But in my opinion, I feel like they need an additional receiver regardless. People say, oh, they got enough. No, they don't. But ultimately, we think they need a receiver that can play on the outside. So going to get another smaller receiver just give validity to, to what people are saying is that they basically replacing Jameson Williams. So let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live and drop video. Financially, want to support the channel. Cash App, $ CJ Good 313. Venmo CJ Good 313. PayPal link description. Hit the link tree. Find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Check out Detroit Lifestyle playlist. Peace.